We're going to talk about Ballerina from the universe of John Wick. That's its officially long ass title for apparently no good reason, but unfortunately for the best possible reason to give it a fighting chance, no pun intended, in the box office, in the theaters, because you probably didn't go see it. I did twice. So I did it once for me and I did it once for you out there, which, I'm not going to assume what your gender is or what your gender preference is, but you probably didn't go to see it because you thought a ballerina movie and it's just called Ballerina. Well, who the fuck's in it? I don't fucking care. It's ballerina shit. For 2 hours, I'm good. I'll pass. I'll go see fucking Lilo and Stitch and kind of, sort of, maybe enjoy myself, even though they altered and tampered with the ending of that one, which, that was a whole little mini review I did that I didn't enjoy at all whatsoever. But you know what? It's okay. It's all right. What are you going to do, right? That's Lilo and Stitch, though. I did a short little, like, YouTube Reels, not YouTube Reels, YouTube Shorts review of that one. If you want to check that out on my YouTube, at Who This Is One. But right now, we're going to talk about Ballerina. All right. So I will be honest and upfront as I try to be at all times, especially during all episodes, because I have what we call a penis. And I am not ashamed of that penis whatsoever. It's the first thing in the morning that wakes up way and well before I ever do. So I own up to that. I'm guilty as charged of that. I'd use the other arm, but let me not be graphic for the sake of YouTube. And also the audio listeners, of course, you don't even get to see that thing. Better you don't. I'm not even here to talk about that, though. But penis will be discussed in terms of would a penis, as in John Wick, been better off this time around for John Wick 5 versus Ballerina, or again, as aptly and long-ass titled for every proper reason, for marketing's purposes, from the universe of John Wick, Ballerina, starring Ana de Armas. Ana de Armas right there, reason enough for me to get my ass in the theater, in the seats, day one, upon its release, to watch the thing. Luckily enough, I made the time for it purposely. I watched the John Wick films 1 through 4, except the Continental. I never got around to it, and I heard it wasn't that great, but I am going to give it a chance at some point too. Now, after having watched Ballerina, I was able to catch up on the universe of John Wick by watching 1 through 4. Really enjoying myself. I will admit, though, I did see John Wick 2 in theaters when it came out, without having seen John Wick 1 at all beforehand. So I was lost. And if I remember correctly, I think me and my girlfriend just happened to be by a movie theater that was showing John Wick 2. I don't think there was anything else showing that we would have watched together. If it was me on my own, there might have been something else I'd watch, except for John Wick. But we just decided on that one, on a whim. And I did enjoy it, but I was confused throughout the whole time because, of course, I didn't see 1 to better understand 2. And while it wasn't super confusing, I was kind of like lost on some certain things and events that occurred in the first one. So that's as much knowledge as I had and insight on John Wick, period, leading into Ballerina. So I took the time out. Again, like I said, I watched 1 through 4. Thank God they're all available on Pause Peacock for, NBC, of course. Thank them for once for having a full franchise in its entirety on one streaming service, unlike if you ever want to indulge in the Fast and Furious franchise from like 1 through 9 or 10 and Hobbs and Shaw included. You got to go, for the first 3, you got to go to Hulu. For like 4 and 5, you got to go to some other one. 6 and 7 are somewhere, who knows where. And I think 8 and 9 are probably only available to rent off of Amazon. I forget how it works, but I don't even know how it works for Fast and the Furious, but maybe at some point they sold some of the rights to some of them to some other place, and that's why it's like a shit show to even try to watch them all in order, but that's if you choose to do so on your own time. Again, back to Ballerina. So I was able to finally catch up on John Wick, period, in its entirety with Ballerina, in time for Ballerina. Ballerina, what's it about? Okay, so if you read anything into Ballerina, it takes place between John Wick 3 and 4. It's basically John Wick with a pussy. She's part of the Ruska Roma as well. brought up by them. She's adopted. Well, she chooses to be adopted by the Ruska Roma because she's brought to them after her dad was killed by not the Ruska Roma, but an opposing like clan cult of sorts. That's like their direct ops of the Ruska Roma. They came to kill her pops. He dies in like a really corny way. He gets shot randomly in the midsection while trying to grab a young, in this case, Eve Macarro, played by Ana de Armas. While trying to flee, he gets a random shot in the fucking midsection, in the ribcage somewhere. Of course, it's, conveniently enough, he plops down on the ground to die, out looking at a sunset with his daughter looking at him, dead in the face like, I didn't want this life for you. And that's it. He's gone. So now she's, I wouldn't say hell-bent on revenge just yet, but she obviously wants answers even at a young age. She gets taken in by, I forget his name in the fucking movie, so forgive me for that, but the guy that manages the Continental, that guy that helps out John Wick a lot, he takes her in, takes her to the Ruska Roma. She has the choice to be a part of them or not, so she does choose to be with them to have some sort of family, and I guess find some closure and eventually answers as to who killed her dad and why, basically. The training sessions that follow up as they fast forward from young Eve Macarro to current, at that time between John Wick 3 and 4, Eve Macarro, we get to see Ana de Armas finally on screen. She's doing a thing, twirling around as a ballerina would in her ballet outfit. Getting her toes all bloody from like just hours of repeating the same twirls and twists in place to please the head lady of the Ruska Roma over there. Of course, she looks great in a ballerina outfit because if you haven't noticed, and I'm sorry, I'm guilty that I did, but Ana de Armas has quite an ass on her. Despite the amount of weight she lost for this role, and it's noticeable because her face is like really kind of squared off, like really solid jawline work on her. The ass is still there, and to see an ass ever so present and defiantly so in a ballerina tutu, it's great. I love it. I appreciate it. So she did that for us. She lost enough weight around everywhere else but the ass. So, appreciate you, Ana de Armas, for doing us that favor. So pretty much from there, there's a whole little tagline about fight like a girl, which just the thought of it might make you cringe as a guy, potentially, with the whole girl boss and girls only, girls rule, boys rule kind of energy out there nowadays too. Take me at my word when I say it's none of that. They actually take the line, fight like a girl, because she's losing her training, like, I guess it's, forgive me for not knowing my martial arts like that, but I'm guessing, if not jujitsu, probably like close quarter combats. She's losing her training because she's focused on implementing the skills she learned as a part of her training instead of just fighting like a girl would and, being dirty, cheating, pulling hair, kicking nuts, just using her girly wits to her advantage. When she finally locks in and realizes, oh yeah, I could fight like a girl to use that to my advantage, it's apropos. It's not cringy. It's not like, of course, a girl's going to win and beat a guy like twice her size and like 5 times her strength. No, she learns how to maneuver her way around and adapts to all the situations coming up afterwards too, because since she's being trained to be Ruska Roma officially, she's pretty much not an assassin for hire, a la John Wick. She's more of a protector. So after her first successful job of protecting the target that she's been assigned to, she gets her angel wings tattooed onto her to confirm, okay, you're officially a protector now on behalf of the Ruska Roma. So with that entitles, she's going to be sent out on jobs to do the work that no one else can or isn't skilled enough to do so in comparison to her. Her first job of protecting some sort of Asian girl, like her dad's really uptight and really protective of her, and there's another guy that wants to kidnap her, basically to like take her and do whatever with her. It takes place in an ice lounge. It's the first time we really get to see her skills, or fighting skills, better yet said, on full display. She's given a gun with rubber bullets that is still, I've never been shot with one, thank God, and God forbid I ever do, but if you've ever been shot with a rubber bullet, I'm assuming it's unpleasant either way. But she's getting her ass handed to her in that very first fight while trying to defend this girl throughout the whole time. She does eventually, of course, because it's her movie. She's John Wick with a vagina. She has to win. She has to overcome the ops in this case. Everybody one at a time, obviously. She does get the job done. Like I just mentioned, she gets her angel wings tatted on her back to confirm that she's officially a protector now and good to go as far as like being available for hire. They fast forward to one of her next jobs afterwards, where she takes out a whole bathroom full of guys. They're all dead, of course, because that's her job to do so. I love this part because it makes sense. Since you're dealing with the black market, I'm assuming that's how Ruska Roma moves in silence, but with a lot of money involved. It's great that she takes a picture of one of the bodies, or I'm guessing the prime target that she was after, uploads it to wherever, app that the black market works with, and instantly she gets her money and her fee transferred to her of like a cool $750,000. So, the good thing is to know, rest assured, the black market will not make you wait on your funds. It's instantaneous, just like that, the money transfer. That's wonderful to know. For future reference, if I'm ever that down on my luck, I'm like, hey, I'm willing to take the job so long as the money's right and quick, immediately, please sign me up. At some point when she's younger, too, I forgot to add that she notices that one of the guys that came in to kill her dad, along with the bad head like guy cult that leads the clan of like, not the Ruska Roma, the other guys that don't like the Ruska Roma, but pretty much are the same thing, just without being Ruska Roma. She notices one of the guy has like a marking, a scar of sorts, like an X on his behind the calf muscle. She notices that same marking on another guy that came after her after one of her future hit jobs to try to take her out. So now she takes the hand off the guy, takes it to like Mama Ruska Roma, tries to get answers. She won't give no answers. Nobody wants to give her information at all. So she has to pretty much go on her own, even though she's told, don't do this, because if you're that petty, you're just going to bark up the wrong tree, basically. You're going to ask for a lot of trouble that you're not ready to handle. Eventually, she gets clued in by, I forget who exactly, who gave her the info. Oh, right. She went to again, I forget his name, the guy that was helping out John Wick so much, the manager of the Continental. Went to him. He owed her a favor, basically. She trades in one of her gold coins that they use to like check into the Continental. So he's forced to give up the info on one of the guys that has the markings that happens to be staying at the Continental out in Prague. So she goes out there directly to confront him, or pretty much get answers. Not necessarily kill him, but just like see what info he's willing to give up so she can finally get some closure and or revenge, obviously, at the end of the day. She goes there. He's got a kid, his daughter, of course, who happens to be the prime target of the group of folks that she's looking for that ain't the Ruska Roma, that want the kid too, because apparently, spoilers, of course, in advance, the daughter is the son of the guy she's looking for, obviously, but that son is also the son of the cult leader that she's looking for that killed her dad off when she was young. So that girl, biracial, by the way, is his granddaughter of the cult leader. So now it's all intermingled, intertwined and shit. She doesn't get to him in time enough to like kill him or get like a lot of answers. They bust in, they try to kill them both. They kidnap the girl anyway. He gets knocked out, presumed dead. She gets knocked out, taken hostage. They're trying to get answers out of her. Plot twist, it turns out that Eve Macarro, or according to her pronunciation of her own name, Macarro, which she can't get right for some reason, but Ana de Armas did always have a little bit of trouble with pronunciation. We'll forgive her. Besides her being hot, she's, I'd say, a pretty good actress, but we'll forgive her for her very heavily accented pronunciation of very common things. Even, names are like kind of, up in the air as far as like how exactly you pronounce them, because some people have preferences how you pronounce their own shit. And so, God forbid, you know how to get it right the first time around. But you would think a name like Macarro, considering she's Hispanic, she'd be able to get it right. But then again, it's not really confirmed whether she is like of Belarusian descent like we get from John Wick, confirmed in John Wick 3, or where exactly she's from, what she descends from, because Macarro ain't no fucking name you get from that region, that part of the world anyway. So That's a mystery in and of itself. But she does speak Russian, the very simple Russian. Even I know da mama, yes mama at some point too. But that's besides the point, right? Basically, the cult comes looking for her when she finds out where they're staying at because she went to go visit one of the ammo guys. I forget where exactly, like somewhere in the Alps, something like that. But she goes to visit this big black guy that's like the ammo expert guy. You know those scenes from John Wick, the previous ones, where he goes to load up on guns. The guy or the people giving the guns to him, supplying him with the goods, like they're the marksman experts. They know everything about the bullets and the shit that, that would serve their purpose for whatever mission he's on and shit. This guy's doing the same thing, but he gets interrupted by the cult as they bust into his fucking gun shop with her present. So he gets injured. His hand gets shot, I think it was. She immediately springs into action. They're fucking up his whole shop, of course, unfortunately, at his expense. But in return, we do get this pretty awesome, like, grenade standoff / fight where she's... I mean, I would think at this point, too, it's implied that John Wick would pretty much be an expert with just absolutely everything he can get his hands on, as he proved with a pencil. I think it was in 2 or 3, whichever one they highlighted that in. But she's an expert of all things in using grenades. She's launching a couple of guys. They blow to smithereens. She takes a whole bag full of like grenades, wraps it around a guy's neck, leaps over a metal table, uses it as like a barrier between him and her, while he explodes to absolutely just jelly, not even like bits of fucking particles of dust, like just straight up jelly, because all the fucking blood just exploding in the middle of fucking the room they're in. There's one part where, you might have seen it already, I think it's been made a meme at this point, where she takes on a fat guy, she throws one grenade at him, he kind of leaps out the way, or he's so fat that he can kind of take the impact. She gives him a couple of body shots. I think she stabs him, if I remember correctly. Then she takes one grenade, sticks it in his mouth, pins him behind a big-ass metal door, leaves him to fucking just blow to bits. She opens the door back again to escape into the next room, and it's just a big old hole made in that wall leading to the next room. So that guy just completely disappeared into fucking absolutely nothing. He got Thanos snapped. Not even Thanos snapped, because at least you would see with a Thanos snap, like the dust drifting off into the wind. Dust in the wind. Nah, he didn't even get that treatment. He just completely disappeared, like fell off the face of the earth, like disappeared completely. Evaporated into absolutely nothing. She's still fighting with grenades. She's fighting off these motherfuckers. That leads her into like this little cabin lodge place, like in that same vicinity, indoor town, after she gets a hold of a Mustang, a really good looking Mustang, by the way. Forgive me for not knowing, but for the car folks out there, if a Mustang is actually something that would be usable in the snow, traction on the tires and shit, please let me know in the comments, because as cool, as beautiful as this all-black Mustang was, I don't know how practical it would be like on a very snowy terrain. But it looked great. Looked great in the snow. The contrast, all-black vehicle, all-white snow all around you. Looked beautiful. She takes that Mustang into this little village where presumably, I think she knew or she didn't, because she got it from the ammo guy. Like, go to this village, that's like the last known area where these people have been, the coach she's looking for. She goes there. She sees like a little shop. She goes in there. She immediately suspects and profiles a guy that comes in who's pretty tall and like, Germanic looking, I guess you could say, who's also an assassin looking for her ass in particular. So they start fighting. It's a dragged out fight. He's towering over her. He takes like, he's a bullet sponge. He takes at least like 20 bullets just to go down to one knee. And then I forget if he breaks his arm or does something even more dramatic to like finally take him out. But he takes forever to fucking kill. But that was a pretty cool fight though, because the whole thing builds up on the first floor. She's taking out this guy. She's taking out that chef with a fucking knife. It turns out everybody in this little village are a part of the cult that she's looking for. Therefore, they're all like mini, like introductory level John Wick-esque type of fighters and or assassins. So they're all brainwashed to follow this cult leader, but they all have just kind of sniffing at the skill level that she has as far as killing people are concerned, because she's able to kill everybody. Obviously, she's not gonna fucking die midway through, even though it's like, again, a village full of John Wick, John Wick-esque type of motherfuckers, trained killers like that. She makes quick work of everybody pretty much. Okay, I'm lying, not quick work, but she struggles a bit because she's still new at the game. She's still adapting, she's still learning. So again, they're emphasizing that she's not a total girl boss. This isn't, again, a girl's rule, boys rule type of shit going on. No, she's struggling. She's showing that she is struggling. She's got to think quickly on her feet to stay alive, even though she has the advantage of being a very highly trained assassin slash killer slash ballet dancer of all things, and a marksman and all that. She's able to make her way through shit. She's able to do her thing. It's great to see. It's fun to see because, like I mentioned earlier, there's a grenade fight where she really puts her skills to the test. There's also later on, like fast forwarding a little bit to one of the cooler parts of the movie for me, which is really great to see and makes it its own thing amongst the 4 previous John Wick films, is, of all things, a flamethrower fight. So flamethrower versus flamethrower, her versus one of the head mercenary guys working for the cult leader, where they're going at each other again with flamethrowers. It's a whole dragged out scene in a cave somewhere. She's got a flame retardant suit on. He does too. They're going at it. They're like, they're tied up in each other's arms with like both flamethrowers going up at the roof of the shit. And it's like actually visually very beautiful the way it looks. It's almost like romantic the way they're intertwined amongst each other and just blasting off flamethrowers at the same time. It's like ballet-esque. So yeah, emphasis on ballerina, that part at least, right? That was cool to watch. Of course, even though it's a little village full of killers and shit, she has to make her way through. She has to make her way to the final boss. Before that, it's revealed one of the like lead henchmen slash female goons turns out to be her long lost sister. I forget her name. That was taken from her when Eve was younger and was brainwashed into the cult. And only then they realized that they were sisters when they finally meet after so long. But the head cult leader, who's, I guess, somewhat related to Eve. No, he was only related to the little girl they wanted to kidnap. And, well, they did kidnap, but he gives orders to kill them both basically at the same time. So, of course, they throw grenades into the little cabin they meet at. Of course, just meets his sister after so long of trying to find each other. Of course, she gets blown up. She's the one that dies immediately in her fucking arms. Oh, I waited for you all my life and shit. Conveniently enough to die in your arms now. Her too. She dies pretty corny as well. Now she's hell-bent on killing this guy because she took away pretty much everybody. Her daddy and her sister. Her sister she just met like 5 minutes ago. And then her daddy randomly with one little gunshot wound to the fucking midsection. Yeah, he killed off a bunch of guys in a room. Did all this fucking crazy handwork and flipping them and stabbing them and shooting them and shit just to die from one little stray bullet in the fucking ribcage. I never got that. But then maybe it's playing on her being Eve and him getting hit in the rib section. And that was the fault of man, since we did women the favor of existing thanks to one of our ribs. Again, that's according to the Bible. That's not me saying nothing, of course. That's what, God said, allegedly, supposedly. But then finally she makes it to the cult leader. Before she does, the cult leader is calling out the head lady of the Ruska Roma saying, hey, get this bitch under control or I'm going to have to take her out, and not for a steak dinner, but then I'm going to have to come over to your side of the fucking world and take everybody you got out as well. It's going to be full-on war. And she's like, no, she's working on her own. I can't call her back even if I wanted to. There's no leash on this bitch. She's crazy, whatever. But let me do you a solid and let me call in somebody who might be able to, stop her at least in her tracks. If she has to be killed, then she will. And that's when we get John Wick. And of all things, Ballerina, as promised in the trailers, as promoted, and as in the title from the universe of John Wick, Ballerina, John Wick heads out to where she's at to find her, to stop her, presumably to kill her. And this is where I really started to respect the movie, and it already started picking up before this part, but this is where it certifies that they're not out here trying to make a girl boss film or make the woman superior to the guy that's already been established as like, impossible to kill for 4 movies straight. He's out there to get her, She's not backing down, but also she gets her ass handed to her by John Wick. She does put up a fight, and she's skilled, yes. Weapons, hand to hand, all that shit, but it's John Wick. We've seen him throughout 4 films being damn near impossible to kill, even though in those 4 films there should have been plenty of times, at least 10 that I counted, that he should have been fucking done with or shot dead at least from a distance, but he wasn't. He hands her ass to her throughout the whole little fight they have. The head cult leader says everybody in the village has permission granted to fucking kill her on sight. Oh, no, wait, John Wick is here too. Okay, everybody hold off until he gets the job done. He's doing us a solid. But then she pretty much begs him in the middle of a fight that this is all she has. She has to get revenge. You know, they killed her father with tears in the eyes. So he's like, okay, fine. It's 11:32. You got till midnight to get the job done if you can. And if it strikes midnight and you still haven't killed that guy and you're not dead, then I'm going to make sure you're dead and I'm going to carry out the favor I owe to, Mama Ruska Roma. So then she embarks on the whole fucking mission. He's off to the side doing his thing. John Wick, I mean. But he's overlooking and protecting her the whole time. She finally makes it to the cult leader after getting some assistance from John Wick throughout the fucking thing. Finally pops him in the head because he talks too long. He talks way too much. And that's the end of Ballerina, pretty much. She saves a little girl. The dad, or Norman Reedus, I think his name is in real life. The guy from The Walking Dead, Daryl from The Walking Dead. He's not dead. He was just in the hospital laid up. So he made a very easy payday in his movie doing the bare minimum, just being laid up in a hospital bed. Gets his daughter back. The day is saved. Eve had made friends with one of the girls there. I think her name was Tatiana. That wanted to legit be a ballerina, not a Ruska Roma, hired assassin or protector. She finally left the academy at some point. No, she got kicked out of the academy because she didn't have the killer instinct that Eve did, and went on to be a legit ballerina, like nearby in one of the ballet. I forget what the name of the fucking show was. Forgive me, I'm not a ballet expert like that. But Eve, the movie ends with her going to check out Tatiana starring in the ballet she's front and center for. She gets a notification on the phone that now she's got a hit on her head worth $5 million. So obviously she did a good job on her own as expected because it's her movie, her, going out on her own on her first adventure in the universe of John Wick. Ballerina, the movie ends. She's got a, $5 million price tag on her pretty ass head. And that's how Ballerina ends. Overall, there's a bunch of moments that make the movie its own, which is really hard to do despite the fact that we loved John Wick 1 through 4 so much. I'll be honest, I didn't like John Wick 4. Not that I didn't like it. I wasn't so crazy about it only because, for me, this is me speaking, a little too long and almost or just under 3 hours. Yes, we get a lot of action. Yes, it's a lot of fun, the action we do get, but it's just like, you know what? It's already 3 films where he should have been dead a couple of times, more than a couple of times. Now it's the 4th time around. He really is getting away with a lot. We get it. He's hard to kill. And presuming he did die at the end of John Wick 4, I didn't like it because of all people that fucking did him in or probably killed him. It was a blind guy, a blind swordsman of all things, which he was cool to watch. And supposedly, I forget his name in real life and the character, Kane, right? I think Kane in the movie. Supposedly, he's getting his own spin-off now, too. But they're going to try to shoot that, as I read, as a more homage to like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon type of style of movie, which would be cool, but I think the unfair advantage in that case would be, oh, this is so cool, like a Japanese martial arts film for 2025 or whenever it fucking comes out. In comparison now to Ballerina's like, oh, that's a girl boss movie. I'm not going to check that out. I'm not going to waste my time with that shit. I don't bleed once a month to be tapped in like that with female John Wick like that. No, it does seem unfair, and that's the question I have to really ask as to why. Not so much why. I think I know why, because it's in the title alone. From the universe of John Wick, Ballerina. You Google Ballerina, you're going to get that immediately as the first result. And I hate to admit it does make sense because on its own, as a guy, thinking as a guy with both heads in this case, I see Ballerina as a movie advertised to me in the theater or wherever. I'm immediately checking out. I have no interest whatsoever. Now, if you tell me maybe it's like a Angelina Jolie, maybe it's like a Scarlett Johansson, or in this case, Ana de Armas, I might consider it, but I'll be like, I'll go check it out when it hits streaming or something like that. So had they left it at just Ballerina, I think it's already at a very huge disadvantage. It would have done probably worse than what it did now in the box office. I think apparently it did like, what was it? I think domestic and worldwide altogether open a weekend. I think it barely did 50 or 60, which isn't great. But oddly enough, it's the same amount I think John Wick 1 did when it debuted and premiered. So not great considering this is the 5th movie in the franchise and a spin-off to its own fault. But did it merit not making anything in the box office? Again, I think it's not so much why, but how would have Ballerina ever really been profitable, really had a fighting chance, no pun intended, to stand a chance in the theaters? Yeah, it was going up against Lilo and Stitch, and then Mission Impossible's also there too, but Mission Impossible, the last one, presumably isn't doing that well either. And also, I guess this kind of debunks my path of thinking, at least, that Ana de Armas was already considered or should have been considered A-list, because even her star power, her good looks, her charm, her, I'd say, actual present, visible acting abilities didn't do anything to save this shit. As heavily promoted and premiered here in France and LA or wherever else the fuck it was, that didn't help either. She made the rounds. She did the interviews. She did the hot ones. She did the morning show. She did all this and that and a different dress for every different occasion, every different appearance. That did nothing. And I would have thought easily the selling point, at least me, this is me thinking, because I will say I'm definitely taken by Ana de Armas and her beauty, but I love that she's also stunningly beautiful, probably the prettiest eyes in all of Hollywood, but also she can back it up with talent. I forget the Bond movie she was in. She was really good in that. Knives Out. She got a lot of praise for that. I loved her in Blonde, the Marilyn Monroe biopic, unofficial biopic movie on Netflix. The movie and the story, not so much. Her, very charming, very good, and very well acted. Did a great Marilyn Monroe, even though her accent was very prominent throughout. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. I liked it throughout this thing. She was believable. She did the training. She was convincing in everything she did. Yes, there is the fact that they had to reshoot the whole thing, apparently, with the original director for John Wick, because apparently what they handed in before he stepped in was, I wouldn't say dog shit, but maybe it just wasn't up to what the execs wanted out of like a John Wick spinoff or John Wick unofficially number 5. Especially if it's starring a female this time around, which I think they were probably, you know, being really cautious about, because it's not Keanu Reeves, it's not John Wick that everybody loves, but, you know, oh, let's just stick it in the title. That way they know it's a John Wick film just without John Wick, but then we'll put him in the trailer anyway so they know to go see it because John Wick's going to be there in the film. And he's in a good portion. Like, let's say the last 40 or 30 minutes of the film, he's there. It's not like he's there for, you know, blink and you miss it. He's there for like a good part of it. Throughout, he's present. You're getting John Wick kills, easily disposing of this one, that one. As soon as they come towards him, he's just swatting them away like fucking houseflies. Easy work for him, right? I don't think there's a case scenario where Ballerina stands on its own without any John Wick incorporated. If it had no John Wick or no hinting at, hey, John Wick's going to be in this one too, by the way, wink, wink, it probably would have done worse than what it did now in the box office. Because now, according to what I'm seeing, second week in, it dropped off 65% and only pulled in $9 million in its second weekend. I think it's tied already with John Wick 1 as far as box office numbers are concerned, but that's not good because they want to make their money back as far as what they put into it, which I think was $90 million, and they might not even make that back, which is like, Who do you blame here? What was Ana de Armas set up for failure? Did they set it up to fail, not purposely, but be like, maybe we should have done 5 John Wicks or kill off John Wicks for real this time? Because now apparently the rumor is he wasn't dead in 4. They just played it out like he did die in 4, but now they're ready to give him the bag of all bags to bring him back for 5 one more time to really write him off, and then I guess do the spin-off they want to do with that character Kane as well. I don't know what you do in this case, or I don't know how you treat Ballerina fairly, because I really don't think it had a chance no matter the case scenario you present, because again, that just rules out the fact that I thought Ana de Armas would have been an A-list or considered to be, but this proves I guess she's not, or not just yet. Beauty ain't so much an eye of the beholder, because if the eye of the beholder doesn't fucking buy a ticket and sit their ass down in the theaters to watch the thing, it doesn't count. It doesn't matter. No matter how fucking pretty they are, or how talented and pretty they are, if they're not there, it doesn't matter at all. It doesn't register. So it's a box office bomb, technically, I guess, if it doesn't recoup its money. Let's see how it does on stream. I hope. But I got a good feeling. I think that streaming-wise, there'll be plenty enough people that give it a chance, male and female audience and whatever else you identify as, of course. I think that's when maybe it might do numbers. But unfortunately, it'll do streaming numbers, which is, obviously, if you have Peacock, you're not paying any more on top of that to watch a movie or a series. You're just paying whatever you pay out to Peacock per month to watch what they got available, new content, old contents, whatever they got on hand, basically. Unless you rent it from, Amazon Prime, or you get it from Apple, or, you're so impatient that you can't wait for it to hit streaming that you say, you know what, I'll just rent it and watch it at home for like $25-$30. It saves me the trip having to go to the theater, parking, popcorn, all that shit, right? Maybe it has some of that, because I did see, I think it's, at least on the Apple chart, it's being like saved favorably as far as the amount of saves, people looking forward to watching it at home, basically. So there's that to look forward to, but at least in the theaters, this shit didn't do well. And again, it's not a question of why, but how would have it had done well at all, according to anybody's standards at this point. Because I'll clear it up now. As a guy, it's not like I wanted to go into this thing immediately hating it or ready to hate it because, this is a girl boss movie. It's a girl kicks everyone's fucking ass, male, female, whatever they identify as. None of that's going on. She does get her ass kicked. She gets her ass handed to her. She has to learn the hard way a lot of times. And even with as corny potentially as a line as fight like a girl would be, they don't play into it so much that she's, invincible after a certain point. No, she's human like us. She makes mistakes like us. She's suffering and going through it like us, or like we would if we were in her world and we just so happen to be a man instead of a woman. Just rest assured, if you're a guy and watching this, you're not going to end up feeling ashamed of your penis or owning one or being like, I should have just stuck the first 4 John Wicks. I didn't need to see this fucking cunt come in and just kill everybody easily or twice as fast as John Wick would. No. You're not going to get any of that shit at all. She's not promoting femininity, an all-girls club. None of that shit's going on. She asks John Wick for advice because, again, it's between 3 and 4. This whole thing takes place. If you remember that part, I think in 3, where he goes to the Ruska Roma, the academy, to ask for the old lady's help. And they're walking down the stairs. They replay that part. They splice it in. Afterwards, she follows him and asks for advice, like, how do I get out of here, basically. He tells her, you have a choice. There's always a front door. The front door is always open to leave when you want to leave, kind of thing. She asks him, well, why didn't you leave? And he says, I'm working on it, because that's what he wanted the whole time, to just get out of that life. She seeks him out for advice. She begs him for mercy when they're fighting. And she's getting her ass kicked, and he's pretty much ready to kill her at a moment's go. She has to cry and beg and be like, hey, they killed my father. I have to do this. Please let me. And he lets up on her, shows mercy, and says, you got half an hour, tick-tock, hurry the fuck up, or I'm coming to cap your ass. As pretty as you are, I don't want to do it, but you'd make a pretty cadaver. Why not, right? So No girl boss, no threats of a girl boss here. You can enjoy ballerina if you have a penis, if you have a set of balls. There's no threat of you walking away from this being all cringed up and being like, ah, God, I just got shamed into having a dick, right? And so with that, what are we giving Ballerina as a final score? If you watched any previous episodes, I usually do like a 0 out of 2 as far as ratings are concerned. I want to implement something new for myself that I can identify as uniquely being tied back to me. So I'm doing a new system. Basically, it's going to be a 0 out of 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, obviously, I mean. But we're going to do a little different. So in this case, 0 is going to be 1 is going to be meh, a 2 is going to be a 3 is going to be oh, and a 4 or an absolute classic, a masterpiece, something like that's going to be a pleasant surprise. So in this case, for Ballerina, I'm going to be very honest. Besides the fact I am in love, terribly in love, so in love with Ana de Armas and her acting skills, obviously. And, you know, it helps to be the owner of some very pretty eyes and a killer body as she does. I'm going to give this an O or a 3 out of 4. It picks up in the last hour. It has its own unique moments and or fights that are worth at least watching on YouTube. If anyone like got, theater footage from it, or eventually when it hits the streamers and then you can watch it there, that should entice you enough to hopefully watch the movie after the fact, even if it does very well in streaming, which I got a feeling it might just. It's a fun watch. It's pretty fun. It's great to watch her do a thing. She's believable. You know, some of the hits, I guess you could say, ain't entirely believable, or they looked a little too like pulled back. But other than that, like, it's about the same amount of action you expect out of a John Wick film, even if it's within the universe and not John Wick himself. And again, she has her own unique little touch to it, her charm, her grace, her acting skills. And she has her own cool little fucking fight scenes. Like I mentioned, the flamethrower fight, the grenade fight. She could hold her own. She learns along the way. You know, John Wick had 4 films that like pretty much become invincible and unkillable. This is her first outing, so she's learning and learning along the way. But it's a fun watch. I do recommend it if you're able to catch it in theaters and feel like doing it on like a Tuesday matinee, like discounted price at least. Absolutely go do it. I'm a man. I'm proud to be a man. Perfectly straight. Nothing against anybody who identifies as anything else. But I wholeheartedly recommend Ballerina, or again, from the universe of John Wick, Ballerina starring Ana de Armas. I definitely watched it again once it hit streaming. I did watch it twice in theaters. I enjoyed it that much. And of course, research purposes, aka Ana de Armas. 4 hours of Ana de Armas on the big ass fucking screen I had available to me. Sign me the fuck up. I did it. I did it for you because you didn't go to watch it. Obviously, it shows proof positive in the box office numbers. That's it for me today, though. I'm Who This. If you like what I did here, if you stayed through the whole episode, let me know in the comment section wherever you watch this, YouTube or wherever applicable. At Who This Is One to follow me on the socials. Every one of them manageable, yes, even Blue Sky. And the same tag at Who This Is One on the YouTube, on the Twitch. Please feel free to like, subscribe, comment, recommend, share, follow up, yell at me in the comments. I have no reason to go watch Ballerina. You fucking liar, you bald ass fraud. And I'll probably comment back to you, well, there's no need to point out the obvious, as in I'm bald and I look like a light bulb, a dirty thumbprint, or whatever you have in mind. But God damn it, God forbid I'm a guy that will die on this hill and say Ballerina is worth your time. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll catch you next time.
Hey, someone just came up to me and told me that you like disrespectful Latinas. Is that true? Go fuck yourself.
I saw this coming. And my God, I jumped on it with both hands and she's been holding on. My ass! My ass!
When I think of asses, woman's ass, something comes out of me.
I don't eat ice, I kick ice! You stupid ice!
You cannot give up yet. You did not let me or my fat ass down, okay?
Yo, it's over. All right, it's over. It's over. Move the mic. Move the mic.
Thank you!
All right.